See Different team presents Read Different, the Florida Braille and Talking Book Library.
Welcome to a See Different event hosted by the Division of Blind Services. I am Adam Gaffney, and with me is Sila Miller, and we're from our See Different team. And today's presentation is called Read Different, and we're going to talk about ways of reading different. And this is specifically about our Talking Books Library in Daytona Beach, Florida. The Talking Books Library is a bureau of the Division of Blind Services, but is part of a network of national libraries called the NLS, the National Library Service. And the motto is, so that all may read. So what you can find at the library are audiobooks, of course, the talking books, magazines, Braille and large print, and all the hardware and equipment to play these things on. So one thing I've thought about with libraries is they are very secretive and mysterious because they hold things that we may not always know about. I'll give you a personal example for me. When I first used the library many years ago, I listened to audiobooks on cassette tapes. Yeah, that was a long time ago. And now things have moved along and I use digital books along with a lot of the other patrons of the library. And they have the digital talking book players. And of course, another option is for those of us who use smartphones, we can set up something called Bard Mobile, an app to download and read books, which I have right here on my iPhone. So I read audiobooks a lot this way. But something I just recently discovered just a couple years ago was there's material at the library for musicians and budding musicians, people who want to learn how to play an instrument. There are audio materials for somebody who wants to learn how to play keyboard or guitar or many other instruments, and there are music scores, just a lot of things. So you can consult your reader advisor and find out just what other things are at the library. I'll give you a little example of something I really like. I play the electric bass, and there's an author, Bill Brown, real common name, but he offers many lessons on different instruments and also how to play specific songs on different instruments. So I'll play just a little clip of this.
Play button.
Listen to this phrase.
Stop.
It starts off like the first half. So our first string 5th fret twice, second string 7, first string 5.
So they go nice and slow, and you can play right along with these tutorials. So just wonderful stuff at the library. So I'm going to pass it over to Sila.
Well, thank you, Adam. That is a great secret that I didn't know about. I had no idea they had that information. A secret that I would like to unveil is that the library services are free. It's a lending library, and they're not just for people who are blind. You might think so because of the affiliation with Division of Blind Services, but it's for anyone who finds reading print difficult or impossible. Print disabled, autistic, folks with autism, stroke victims, anyone who finds it difficult to turn a page or hold a book or even focus their eyes or move the eyes to read print. So come along with us for a narrated and guided tour. Our guide today is going to be Kathy Cyril Acevedo. Our library is located on the DBS campus in beautiful Daytona Beach, Florida. It's one of the largest of its kind, and it's been in existence since 1950. Wow, that's before I was born. Today's tour includes a visit to the Reader Service Department, where we'll meet one of those reader advisors that Adam talked about. Every patron is assigned one of these advisors, and they help you get the specific material that you want. We'll hear testimonials from patrons about what the library means to them, and we'll meet some volunteers. And I'd like to stop just a moment and say thank you so much to our volunteers. Something of this magnitude doesn't happen by itself, And we have a strong network of volunteers, and we also have a group called Friends of Libraries, Friends of the Library. We'll meet one of the co-founders of the Friends, and thank you to the Friends as well. We're going to learn about an exciting program called the Summer Reading Program. It's for youth and young adults, and it's just around the corner. It's going to run from June the 20th through August the 1st. And we're going to see a demo of the player, the equipment that Adam talked about. And patrons can get the player or not. And then we'll also learn about the BARD, which is the Braille and Audio Reading Download. And that's where you can download the books to your personal device if you want to. We will visit the recording studio. That's a real treat. You're going to have fun there. We'll learn how to apply, who qualifies, and how easy it is to get certified, and a few surprises. So I would be remiss if I didn't tell you where to get all this information, since we're covering a lot in a short period of time, and we're talking fast probably. So for more information, please visit dbs.fldoe.org/library. And you can locate the Apply tab close to the top of the page. And then lastly, before I turn it over to Ms. Earl Acevedo, don't leave us when the video stops, because that's when the real surprises kind of happen. Not the real surprises, but more surprises happen. So stay with us. Be prepared with any question that you may have. No question is dumb. We welcome them. So sit back, listen, and enjoy. And thank you again for your participation today. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
Our library is one of the largest of its type in the United States, and this was recently remodeled in 2013, although it began in Florida in 1950, so we've been around for a while. Please come in.
Reader Advisor.
So here in Reader Services Department, we do have reader advisors. Just like the name says, they advise our readers and help them get whatever services they need from the library. And here we are with Ms. Anita. She's going to introduce herself and tell us about her job.
Hi, my name is Anita Class Rodriguez. I help here all our patrons that their last names end with W or V, and I am in charge of helping all the institutions.
When people call into the Reader Advisor, what kind of a thing might they call in for, and how would you handle it, Anita? Can you give us a couple of examples?
They can call in mainly to order books. They want to order specifics or give us ideas of what themes they like or what specific things they like to listen to, because even though these are books, they are listening to them. Also, they call, sadly, if one of our patrons has passed, they will call us to let us know. And sometimes it's children calling for their parents because they're elderly, to help them out, to choose anything if someone is out because they're ill and they're not able to listen to their books, to maybe put a hold on them. You know, so many different aspects of the services that we give, because for many of our patrons, this is their lifeline, because they are home. They are, many of them are alone, and really this is not only a book, it's companionship. It's a way to go away from your everyday life, and maybe through your mind and through your fantasy, join some other life that maybe you aspire to or you would love to experience, or anything like that, because that's what books really do for you.
Thank you, my dear. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Reading makes a difference.
I'm Kathy with the Florida Braille and Talking Books Library, and I'm here visiting with my friend, Juan Pablo Velez, and he is also a patron of the library. Juan Pablo, could you tell us a little bit about how the library service works for you and why you use it?
Due to my disability, I have like a lazy eye,
Mm-hmm.
so it's easier for me to listen than seeing. My disability is CP. One side is more affected than the other side. In this case, is my left side.
Juan Pablo has cerebral palsy, and that does make some limitations on some things that he can do and some things that he can't do. Although he's quite the champion. I'm not shy about mentioning he has gold and bronze medals, if I'm not mistaken, in Special Olympic equestrian competitions. So he's a good example of a person who doesn't let anything stop him. You want to add a little bit about that, Juan Pablo, about how you go through life so effectively and so impressively?
I have three things. I will do it. I will do it. I can do it, and I'm doing it. You know what I mean?
I was wondering, do you listen to your books mostly on the player, or do you download to a smart device, or how do you usually listen to your books?
No, in the player that the recording. Turn on the book.
Reproductor prendido.
Yo te siento.
Posición actual.
6. Gracias, con un susurro que...
Reproductor apagado.
Thank you for that great demo. And that brings up another point, doesn't it? Juan Pablo is completely bilingual. And as you can see, his English is completely native as well. But I noticed that you do listen more in Spanish to your books, Juan Pablo?
Yes, because when I was in school, I used to listen to, it was all English. So now that I'm a grown up and I'm out of school, I like Spanish better.
This is Marta, and she is Juan Pablo's mom. And we're just going to ask her if she has anything to add to what we were already talking about as far as what the Talking Books Library has been able to bring to their life and to Juan Pablo and the family.
This has been very, very important for Juan's life because before the books, he used to love soccer. I mean, still he loves soccer, it's his big passion, but now he has another hobby, which is reading. So he is very he's spend the time, the free time, listening the books. And now I can see that he has more interest in others' life. His focuses his attention, and also he shared the story with us, which is great because now that he has a lot of activities, the reading is one of the most important activities that he does usually every day. So it's very, very good. Listen to him when he talk about the people in the books, the stories. It's very, I think his life has more quality now. Juan and myself, we want to invite everybody to share this opportunity with all the families and friends, because maybe in some place somebody needs that and people do not know about that. This is a great opportunity for everybody, for every person with any kind of limitation. Please take advantage of that because it's wonderful.
Hello, my name is Carolyn Cynthia Campbell. I am the first blind elected official in the state of Florida, and I'm here to talk a little bit about how wonderful Talking Books has been for me. I have used it basically throughout school, elementary, middle, high school, whenever they have those required books that you have to read. Most of the time they were able to be found through Talking Books. And then even when I went to college, a lot of the time I was still able to use Talking Books for some of my classes. I did a lot of science and engineering, and some of those were more of a challenge. However, some of the other classes were available. And again, there's a lot of wonderful opportunities for pleasure reading. My grandmother lived with us for a number of years, and it was wonderful to have the ability to have talking books for her as well, because what a lot of people don't realize is that talking books is not just for people who are sight impaired, blind. They're also for people who have reading disabilities, reading challenges. And so because she had gotten older, she had difficulty reading, and so being able to put a book on and have her go through it was something that she really enjoyed, and it kind of brought some normalcy into her world. It is something that people who are print disabled, people who have various disabilities, people who are blind are able to use. So there's a lot of benefits that are available that I don't think a lot of people are aware of and a lot of people use. And there's more titles all the time that are being added. So that's one of the things I think that people really need to be aware of, and hopefully you can avail yourself with that. It's so wonderful. Thank you.
A few years back, the National Library Service changed its name to indicate and emphasize who they cover and who's eligible for their services. They used to be called the National Library Service for the Blind and the Physically Disabled, and through an act of Congress, they changed to becoming the National Library Service for the Blind and Print Disabled. And this is to underscore the fact that eligibility for our free services is not limited to people with vision loss or blindness. It includes anybody who can't access standard print for whatever reason. It could be a cognitive disorder, it could be a reading disability, it could be a physical condition that does not allow them to actually handle print. Someone that's had a stroke, someone that's got a palsy in their hand, someone that has memory loss, someone that has dyslexia or autism. Any of those people could qualify for services if their condition does not allow them to read standard print. For example, this young man in the photo, we don't know what's going on with him, but he qualifies for services, and he's listening to his player as he goes on the bus.
Summer reading program, Oceans of Possibilities.
Hi, my name is Maureen Dorsinski, and I'm the librarian here at the Florida Braille and Talking Book Library. Well, we have a summer reading program. You want to keep busy, you want to keep those reading levels up, and then you want to have fun. This is the summer reading program for you. So, we have got early literacy, early reader, middle grade, that's 4th through 8th grade, and then teenagers, high school, or young adult. If you haven't seen, our theme for this year is Oceans of Possibilities. So, it is not just things that have to do with the ocean. It's not just your fish, it's not just your coral reefs, it's not just your pirate ships and everything. No, it is the realm of possibilities, imagination, and thought. And that is what we really like to bring to our kids, teens, and everybody with the summer reading program here at the library. So, you can also, let's not forget that you can also get these books on Bard. If you're not familiar with Bard, you're missing out. It's the Braille and audio reading download system of the National Library Service for the Blind and Print Disabled. And you can get it right on your mobile device. Have my Android right here. And I'm going to get books, and I'm just going to go take myself to the Bard website. And we're going to put one of these in here. Let's see. Let's do How to Train Your Dragon. And that is a fun book. And made a fun movie too. Let's see. This is going to come up in a second. But yes, it does. And How to Train Your Dragon. And all you have to do is click, add it to your wish list, which I just did. And now you can go to your wish list and click on it. click the audiobook download, and whoa, 027. It's going to jump in second. Unzip, downloading, downloaded. How to Train Your Dragon just made its way to my phone. So you get there, you go to bookshelf, audiobooks, and I have got a lot of books. You can keep these books. That is another advantage of the Bard, is that you don't have to give these babies back. You can just keep these bad boys as long as you want.
How to Train Your Dragon by Cressida Cowell, DB 78725.
There you go. So that is just how easy it is to get books on your devices to enjoy the summer reading program.
Braille and audio reading download.
Hello, my name is Kurt Ottman, and I've been a patron of the library since I was 6 years old. My wife complains in the morning when I'm drinking my coffee. The first thing I do is look to see what's new on Bard rather than talking to her. So that's, but in any case, I certainly have enjoyed the service that Bard has.
I started out as a library patron, actually as a little girl, back when the library was using records, the old hard records in a record player, and also I used Braille books and would read Braille books in the summer, and have been a library user ever since, up to the current time now. I really don't get very many things on the new cartridges because I like to download my books directly from Bard, and I download both recorded audio things and also Braille things. So I would be lost without Bard.
Here we are with Liz Lawson. She is the supervisor of reader services. She's going to tell us about the Bard program.
Hello, yes, I'm Liz Lawson. I've been with the library for 7 years, and Bard is a great program for those who want instant books loaded onto their own devices, or they can download, of course, to a USB drive for the players that we loan out. Bard and audio reading download. A Bard app is for phones, tablets, and other self-purchased electronics. We also have Bard Express, and that is a free download service for patrons with computer access. This is the app that they'll be looking for. It's a free app. The Bard Express will say Bard Express on it, and then the Bard mobile app will have Bard mobile app. And Bard mobile will carry a library in your pocket, is what they say online, and access more than 100,000 books, magazines, and music scores in audio Braille format with new selections added every day. So how do I get Bard, people say? You must be a member in good standing with the Florida Braille and Talking Book Library. You would complete an application located at this web address,
loc.gov.
and once you're verified as eligible, you will receive an email with a temporary password to start your Bard account. Bard Express. You'll download free Bard Express from the Library of Congress to your desktop or laptop computer. You will open the icon and enter your username, which is your email address. The temporary password that you will be sent will be used on Bard, and then you'll be prompted to change your password to something you can remember. Next, you will be in Bard, and you can search for that perfect book that you wish to hear. Bard app on your phone or tablet. The Bard app can be downloaded for free from the Google Play Store or any method a library patron would use to obtain an app for their device. When a patron receives the email they have been granted a Bard account, they must use a browser to start their account and not on the app. They will go to Bard website and enter the email address and their username, their temporary password, of course, first, and then create a password that they would remember. The patron will be asked to create the password they can remember, of course, and then Bard will open up to them and they can start searching for books and magazines and instantly download it. Bard for other devices. Companies such as Humanware and other companies sell devices such as Victor Readers, Victor Streams, Braille Readers, and several other devices that can be added to your Bard account. A total of 5 devices can be registered to a single person. The newest thing coming is the new Braille e-reader that the library will provide people, and they'll be able to download Braille and be able to read the Braille. Well, if you have any questions, always feel free to call us at 1-800-226-6075. Thank you.
The Digital Talking Book Player.
I probably read in the neighborhood of 75 to 100 books a year.
And do you listen mostly to audiobooks, or do you read Braille, or what do you do?
Basically audiobooks, and since the downloads program has started, the BARD system, most of my books I will download from the internet and read them on the iPhone. But my wife prefers using one of these digital players, so I'll download the books from BARD and put them on a cartridge for her.
So we're going to take a look at some of the equipment that we provide as a long-term loan for people when they sign up for library services. This is the player that the National Library Service for the Blind and the Print Disabled provides for all of their readers who want to have the service of delivering digital books to their home as opposed to downloads. The digital books come in a little a case that looks like this. They're very sturdy. They have an address card on the back that can be flipped. It has the patron's address on one side, and when they're through using it, they just turn it over and it has the library address on the other side. Very simple. It's all prepaid through the U.S. Postal Service. That makes it a lot easier. And the player looks like this. It's heavy, but not unduly heavy. It's intended to be portable, but it's also intended to be plugged in. It's got a smart battery that will recharge itself when it needs to, and up to 5 years if you leave it plugged in when you don't need it to be portable. And as you can see, it's got a lot of different colors and shapes, for the obvious reason that if it helps it for people that can't use their vision to determine which button is which, and also for people that might have limitations with their hands and what they can do manually. So it's got a lot of choices on there. There's a tone button that allows for people to adjust the tone of the narrator, make it easier for them to understand. Obviously, a speed button, because people can slow it down or speed it up if they want to. Volume, that's a standard operating procedure. If you press down the stop button without any cartridge in the machine, it will walk you through a function of all of those machines, of all of the buttons. So it kind of is self-explanatory. It's an easy machine for people to learn how to use, and we love it for that reason. We also have the possibility of programming the players in Spanish. This player looks a little bit different. It's called the Advanced Player. It's got some functions on it that the plain player does not have, although these can be upgraded, the regular players. It's got some bookmark features and some ways of moving back and forth between, for example, articles in a magazine or chapters and verses in the Bible, that type of thing. And then, as I say, these can now be upgraded. They're all coming out that way. So it's also interesting to note, I think, that basically these cartridges are a flash drive, a glorified flash drive encased in plastic. And that's just for easier manipulability. That's the only reason for that, and they were a little bit similar to the cassettes that people were using before, and made it a little more familiar for folks. This is the app downloaded to a smart device. It looks a lot like the player. It's got the same buttons on it. It's similar, and it makes it so that as I believe someone was commenting today, it's like having a library in your pocket, because you can access everything that could be gotten from the NLS collection, which is a huge collection. So it's a pretty amazing leap forward when you think about it. And I think the nice thing about all of this is that it covers all of the gamut. If you're high tech, we've got something for you could like and use. If you're low tech, if you don't even have a computer, we can still give you the service. And I think that's really important, to stay abreast of the cutting edge of technology. but not leave anybody behind either. Here's our little historical collection of some of the different types of phonographs and recorders that have been used throughout the history of the National Library Service. I understand at the very early stages there were even some kind of a wax disc used, but this just gives an idea about how it keeps evolving. I imagine that this one here was probably one of the big faves at the time, because when they were transitioning from records to cassette tapes, this one could do both of them. So that must have been kind of the big sexy number to have at the time.
Twin Vision Books.
Everybody knows the story of Cinderella, but not everybody knows the Twin Vision story of Cinderella. These are books that are done in Braille and also print, and they're for sighted mothers to be able to read to blind children who can follow along in the Braille, or vice versa. They could be for blind mothers to be able to read aloud to sighted children. And I just want to show a little bit about how they're set up. So here's the text on one side, regular print text, and there's a Braille overlay that they can follow along with. So one of my friends who reads Braille said that that's how she learned to read Braille as a child. Her mother would read out loud to her and she would follow along. Just like it happens with sighted kids, they follow along with the story and they start to recognize words that are being read to them over and over again by their parents. And they're beautiful illustrations as well. It's a wonderful resource that we can offer for kids of all ages. Bringing the Rain to Kapiti Plain. This is a story from Kenya. And it's got not a Braille overlay, but it has had Braille transcribed into Braille and pasted over it. Beautiful illustrations, taking kids to another part of the world. I just think that these are wonderful resources, and that we should all be very proud to be able to offer these to our kids. Books for kids with disabilities that are about kids with disabilities. This is called Looking Out for Sarah. And it's the story of Sarah's guide dog. How he takes her, how he keeps her safe, how he helps her to shop, going to a coffee shop. It's just a lovely story, and it's a good way to model abilities rather than disabilities.
Hi, I'm Sila Miller with Division of Blind Services.
And I'm Adam Gaffney with Blind Services.
And today we get to read a Twin Vision book to some lovely little girls, Serenity, Emma, and Susan. And today we're reading The Gingerbread Man. And this has Braille and print so that sighted parents can read to blind children, or vice versa. Blind parents can read to sighted. In this case, a blind person, a blind adult, is reading to sighted children. So we are very happy to begin The Gingerbread Man today. Let's bake a gingerbread man. Yes, let's do, said the little old man, and they did. Susan, can you see these pictures from there?
Yeah.
So they mixed up the batter and they rolled out the dough, you know, and then they shaped the little arms and they shaped the little legs and they shaped the little head. And it shows a picture of all that they're doing. And with raisins, they shaped the little eyes and they shaped the little nose and the mouth. And then with sugar glaze, they dressed him up in a fancy suit. When all was set, they put the gingerbread man into the oven, and they waited and waited. You know how long it takes something to get done.
What did you say?
Asked the fox. Now that tricky old fox, he pretended that he couldn't hear very well.
I'm not as young as I used to be, he said.
So you'll have to come closer, and you'll have to speak in a very loud voice.
You can't catch me, I'm the gingerbread man. I've run from a husband, I've run from a wife. I've run from a butcher with a carving knife. I've run from a cow and a muddy old sow, and I'll run from you too. I can.
The Recording Studio.
Hi, my name is Maureen Dorsinski. I'm the librarian and production supervisor of the Florida Braille and Talking Book Library here in Daytona Beach, Florida. We record books and they get included in the National Library for the Blind and Print Disabled National Collection, shared throughout the network of libraries all over the United States. So each state has a regional library. We're for Florida, and each state, if they're lucky enough, has a recording studio and is able to help fill that national collection with titles of regional interest. So we do Florida authors, we do award winners, and of course we do patron requests. So here is where the magic starts. Here is where it all begins. This is our recording booth in action. We have a monitor on one side, on the outside with the computer, and then on the inside with the sound booth we have the narrator.
And I'll be recording it, looking for possible errors that he makes, if he makes any, of course. Okay?
G.C. Vowell spoke eloquently at this second meeting about other benefits of Farmers Cooperative. So it's very important that while recording, not too rushed, to take your time to make sure that you read everything in the original intent of the author. So tone, style, making sure, of course, that there just aren't any blatant sort of errors, as it is kind of interesting how much the mind does tend to fill in as you go through and you read. It's also very important to work with a very judicious monitor, which John most certainly is. Beyond that, just to take any notes for particularly difficult pronunciations, making sure that, as I said, the text is written in the way that the author intended, just so that we can most accurately provide it to the patrons.
So now we're going to say hi to Miriam Thompson. She is working on final edits for our productions that come out of the recording studio.
I do the final edits with the books and magazines that are produced over in the studio. This particular book, however, is one from kind of our vintage collection. It was recorded before we were digital, I believe, and so this is kind of a remake. After the waves come from the studio, even though this is a vintage one, we were able to find the files, pull them into Hindenburg, which is our new editing program. And I'm really glad we had Hindenburg, because this particular project had 288 navigational points that needed to be incorporated and labeled.
What is one of the most challenging things you will come up against when you're doing these edits, Miriam?
One of the most challenging things, I think, is accuracy, because when you type these in, when they go up on board, they have to be perfect. and one of the beauties of Hindenburg is that, like this morning, I did it yesterday and I thought, check it when you're fresh. So I went back in this morning and I found that I had missed marking a recipe. But in Hindenburg, I was able to go back, insert it, and
no problem.
No problem. If I had been in our old program, I won't mention, but I would have had to start the whole thing over again. So this is a great time saver, much more user-friendly, love it, and it makes my work a lot easier.
So we are in front of the archive of the books that we record here in our studio. It runs the gamut from the award winners of the Sunshine State Reader Awards, like this is one, The Worm Whisperer, to classic ones that we have patron requests. This one is a Perry Mason mystery, The Case of the Sulky Girl. But usually for any educational textbook requests, generally it's not something that we do, because we have such a great network of educators and people that help us get the materials to the people who need them. We would refer them to somebody who contacts the publishers, and they give them the accessible PDF copy of any textbook that anybody needs. So that's a wonderful thing to have in place.
Braille proofreading.
So David Jollymore does our Braille proofreading. Do you want to tell a little bit about what you do?
Sure do. We produce Braille. This is the White Cane Bulletin. It's the publication of the Florida Council of the Blind. Comes out every month. And what I do with this and everything else that we proofread in Braille is I'm looking for mistakes. Could be a word, let me clarify. A mistake. If it's a mistake in print, don't touch it. If it's only a mistake in Braille, yes indeed, fix it. Because if it was a mistake in print, it's probably a misprint, and that should be leave it alone. But if there's a mistake, I write it down and what the correction should be. After that, we send it to, if I find nothing, well, either way, we fix the mistakes. Jessica re-embosses the document, and then we go through it again to make sure there's no mistakes in it.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about how you use talking books in your life, or do you mostly use the Braille?
Oh no, I can do that. Yes, I use actually both, but I would say talking books more now than Braille at home. I like talking books. Here I have to review books. For review, I have to write a review about, does it have explicit descriptions of sex? Or is there bad language or foul language, as we call it? But we want to know that stuff.
Or too much violence.
Too much violence. Me driving a car, is there any description about that? Me driving a car?
That would be too much violence.
I wouldn't want to see that. But what's my last name?
Jollymore.
Jollymore. Yep, that's it. That's me. But at home, I read books the same. This is what I'm reading here is the same. It's the same look and the same feel. I've got the same machine. I can't wait till the next generation of talking book player comes out.
Yeah, that'll be good, won't it?
Cool.
Touch and Listen newsletter Braille edition.
Hello, my name is Kurt Ottman. Because we have people that read Braille, they publish this Touch and Listen. It's a newsletter, and it goes out. I'm not sure how many people are on the list, but I know I think we had about 450 of these to do. So what you got to do is you got to tear these apart. So basically, it'll go something like this particular one's about 13 sheets. So I'm going to show you what we got to do with this. And I don't know if I hold this up as well they can see what it says. Well, it probably tells you the name of the newsletter, Touch and Listen, probably. So the person that's putting the envelopes knows what it is. So they don't get confused with something else that might be Braille. Now, another thing we have to do with this is we have to take the outside tractor feed things off. So I'm just going to take these off real quick. The next thing I have to do is to put this in a binder. So I have to take this piece and put it here. Now, since we have these things on the side here, I have to put this. Let's see if I can get this in here. So it's going to work nice for me. I think. All right. Yes, we have it, except it missed. Well, you know, I'll just do it the hard way. And then what happens is these go in an envelope, and then they get mailed out. Free matter for the blind. So that's the way it goes.
Reading is the key to success.
Hi, my name is Mary Tyson, and I have retired from the Volusia County Airport. I worked there for 38 years, but more importantly, the reason that I am here is I have been a patron of the Talking Book Library for, well, let me tell you how old I am. I don't really want to tell you that. But since I was 5. But my mother found out about the Braille and Talking Book Library at the time through what was called then the Bureau of Blind Services. When I was young, and I was the only one of her 5 children who had a vision issue. So she was an educator. And so she wanted to know how she could teach me and how I could learn and keep up with the other kids in my family because they were really smart. And she didn't want me to fall behind. So of course one of the things she wanted to investigate was reading. She taught me all of the basics like phonics and things like that. But when it came to reading books, they just didn't have time enough in the day to read me all the books I wanted to hear. So we began getting talking books. And I have been receiving them ever since. I have been an avid reader all my life. And I asked my mother the other day, I'm blessed to have her with me, she's 93. And I asked her the other day how she learned about it, and she told me about the Bureau of Blind Services.
So this is Corey King. She's one of our steadfast volunteers who puts in more hours than almost anybody else.
And I've been a patron for as long as I can remember. I love it. I'm an avid reader, both Braille and audio now, because a lot more audio books are being published than Braille at this point. But I love to read. So it's just definitely been a blessing to me.
Friends of Library Access, Inc.
Good afternoon. I'm Doug Hall, co-founder of Friends of Library Access, Inc., and current vice president of the organization. Friends of Library Access, I want to talk about that first, is a nonprofit organization that was founded in 1992 to help provide financial support for things that the library needs that perhaps can't purchase by the state, or maybe the state has difficulty purchasing. The Friends take care of that. And I'd say over the last few years, the number one thing that the Friends do is to help to support the volunteer program here at the library, which is critical. Now, my background in talking books actually starts 65 years ago. I started reading talking books in 1957, and you could say I've read a lot of books in the last 65 years. I really believe in the program. In 1992, I was asked by the then director, Don Weber, to assist in starting an organization that would help the library. And there was something I was interested in anyway. So Don and I got together and we developed Friends of Library Access, Inc. And the idea of it was to assist the library in doing things that it couldn't do otherwise. Talking books are critical. It's an important feature of anybody's life. Being able to read books, being able to understand what's going on. I've loved talking books. I started out with talking books on records, the old 33 1/3 records, 16 2/3 records, 8 1/3 records, and cassettes, and now the digital books. And I download books on Bard now. So yeah, I do a lot of reading. My brother does a lot of reading. I know a lot of people who do a lot of reading, and I love the system. As I mentioned earlier, Friends of Library Access helps the library. This here in my hand is our brochure that talks about Friends of Library Access and has an application. Talks about what we do. We are asking people to join the organization because like I said, we have a board that directs things, but the strength of the organization is in the people who belong to it. So if people like to join us, we'd love to have them come and join the Friends and help to make the library as successful as it can be.
We hope you enjoyed this visit to the library. Our next section will show you how to apply for library services, including who's eligible and how to get your application certified. And please stay tuned after the video ends and be ready with your questions because we got the answers.
How to apply for library services.
This is an application for individual services. All a person has to do is give their name and their personal contact information, a backup contact, state what their disability is, and it asks if they have hearing loss as well, because we do have equipment that accommodates hearing loss. That requires a separate application, because if someone were to use it when they really didn't need it, it could cause damage. The second page of the application describes exactly who's eligible for services: residents of the United States, including territories, insular possessions, and the District of Columbia, and American citizens living abroad, provided they meet one of the following criteria: an individual who is blind or has a visual impairment that makes them unable to comfortably read print books, an individual who has a perceptual or reading disability, an individual who has a physical disability that makes it hard for them to hold or manipulate a book or to focus or move the eyes as needed to read a print book normally. And then there's a place for a certifying authority. A certifying authority may be a professional who's familiar with the person's condition, who is going to certify that they are qualified for services. And their information is included here. If it's done online, there can be a typed signature as long as this information is complete. So examples of people who can qualify, in addition to doctors and doctors of medicine or osteopathy, and optometrists, ophthalmologists, psychologists, registered nurse, therapists, professional staff of hospitals, institutions, and public or welfare agencies such as educators, social workers, caseworkers, counselors, rehabilitation teachers, certified reading specialists, school psychologists, superintendents, librarians. You get the idea. Most of us who work for Division of Blind Services would be qualified to sign off on this. You just have to be familiar with the person's condition and be willing to put your professional information here. There are other applications as well. The application is in Spanish to make it easier for our Spanish-speaking population. Institutions can also partner with the library. This is an application for institutional partnership. That means that it's for institutions whose clientele is likely to be able to qualify for library services. For example, an assisted living facility or a rehab center or that type of thing. Some hospitals as well, some certain educational institutions that deal with special needs. Those kinds of organizations often get partnered with us institutionally. They have a player that they can use as a demo and some books that they can show people to see if they want to sign up for services. And this is the application and certification for the high volume player and headphones. This is special equipment for people with hearing loss. Again, this has to be signed off by an audiologist.
To apply for services, visit dbs.fldoe.org/library. For more information, contact the Florida Braille and Talking Book Library at 1-800-226-6075. Read Different was produced by the See Different team for the Florida Division of Blind Services. Copyright 2022, Florida Division of Blind Services, all rights reserved.